This is what we're going on. The highest tier program is the Hustlers Kung Fu Operator Program. It's $10,000 unless you're a previous student. And how you get in this program is my email address is below, and we can go ahead and talk about it, or you're a good fit. Also, for general admission is the King program, links below. It's $3,000. And if you're not ready for that, you can go ahead and get on the layaway plan, and you can lock in your pricing for 2026. All that's below, plus some other goodies. So today, I'm going to talk about something very, very serious. Really serious. And I want you to watch this video from the beginning to the end, and I want you to share this video with as many of your friends as possible. All right, so the title of this video is The Christmas Party. Now I'll get into what that means and what kind of black person are you? Hold on a second. I really hate the word nigga. I hate it with a passion. I don't think that we are niggas. I don't think that we should even condone and calling ourselves that, but that's a big problem. And I've come to realize there's a fundamental truth with that word. Chris Rock made a joke years ago about there was black folks and there was niggas. I refuse to accept that, but when I look at what happened with my car rental business, I looked at what happened with my online course business, I looked at when I tried to give stuff away, and it was niggas that was fucking shit up. These were black folks who have high demo people tendencies. So I had to come to a fundamental truth. There are fine, progressive black folks, and there are niggas. Now, let me show you something here that will actually kind of open up the door. Because I was at the party and I took some pictures. All right. Now, this is my friend's Dina's house. It's 7,000 square feet, right? Actually, that's her mother right there. That's me in my Christmas party gear. And let's see. And you can tell that this is an extremely nice house. Lovely house, right? And some more pictures. I'm gonna use one of those as a thumbnail. And I went to this Christmas party, and I'll tell you how I met Dina. This was before YouTube. I was working on this relationship book, and I would go out and interview women. And if you want to know, if you want an interest on going up to meeting any woman, say, hey, I'm writing a relationship book, and I want your opinions from my book. Boom. The door's open. I don't care what she looks like. Oh yeah, I got something I want to say. There was a lady at the bank who had so much, people were lining up, and she said, and this and this and this. So I met Dina and her friends at a bar called Vino Libro. And Dina and I have been friends since 2008. And Dina's a really interesting person, very intellectual, and she's a fighter. She's really a fighter. And one day she came up to me and she was asking me all kind of questions like, about girls. Do you know her favorite color? Do you know this? Do you know this? And she said something that was quite remarkable back in the day. She was tired of seeing all of these men with women they didn't want to be with. Dina was red pill before red pill was red pill. She saw this and she mentioned this. And next time I see her, I'm going to talk to her about it. But so we reconnect. I go to the Christmas party, and I meet all of these fine, upstanding, college-educated black folks. Now, I'm going there, and I'm meeting folks at this party. There were a lot of folks I didn't know. There was a good group of people. I knew about 25 people. I knew them from previous parties and stuff. But there was a group of people that I had to introduce myself to. And I said, oh, my name's Glendon Cameron, and I do YouTube videos and stuff. Oh, really? What are your videos about? These folks had never heard of me. Never. I mean, it was like surprise after surprise after surprise, right? Never heard of me. And I went on and actually I think this was before the YouTube channel got hijacked. Pulled it up a show. Oh, that's E. And then there was a guy at the party. He's like, "You look like a guy I used to watch on YouTube." None of these folks knew about the Anton Daniels sexual predator video. None of them. And you want to know why? I'm going to give you some insights on that. Rich, well-off, happy people do not invest their time in bullshit. This is why none of these folks knew. None of these folks know, and I didn't educate them about it. But it showed me, because I had to go to the hospital for a minute, and I was in there, and none of the nurses, none of them knew. And people who were in high intellect, high capacity jobs did not know about this. And then when we shifted over to the black side, none of them knew about it. None of them. And I asked and I probed, and they didn't know. Now, let's go and talk about the group of people who did know. Let's discuss the nigga side. There's progressive, fine, upstanding black folks, and there are niggas. Now, this is one of the things. Not Anton Daniels, O'Shea Duke Jackson made a video about Anton Daniels, but it was really about me. And guess who came out? The niggas. Oh, he's a clown. He needs to be under the jail. Right? And I began to think about this because here's the thing. Let's go with R. Kelly, a bunch of victims. Bill Cosby, a bunch of victims. P. Diddy, a bunch of victims. Jeffrey Epstein, a bunch of victims. Glendon Cameron, 0 victims. There's not one woman that's come onto YouTube and said, oh, he molested me. Not one. Not one. But the niggas don't care. It's like, oh, he self-confessed. Blah, 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 blah. Now, this is what's really funny. I am shocked at the number of black people who had a serious problem with me getting some young pussy. Like, let's take the mother and her 2 daughters. True story, it happened. And you know why it happened? The mother looked like a young Dolly Parton, and each daughter looked like her. And I guarantee you, the majority of men who were like talking all that stuff, if they had the opportunity to fuck not 1, not 2, but 3 fine ass white women with big old titties, they've been up in there fucking their ass off. But once again, here's the hypocrisy. Well, you know, he got some young pussy, he's grooming, he's doing all other stuff, right? But there's no evidence. There's no evidence whatsoever. But niggas don't care because niggas love chaos. O'Shea, his biggest audience is niggas. Anton Daniels, his biggest audience is niggas. And once again, there's a reason why. The fine, upstanding, prosperous black folks is a small circle. The nigger confederacy is huge as fuck. So if you build out content that caters to the nigger confederacy, you're gonna make a lot of money. O'Shea Duke makes a lot of money. Anton Daniels makes a lot of money. Lead Attorney makes a lot of money catering to niggas. Now, this is where things get really interesting. Really, really interesting. My friend Dina, she's had her business, I think 3 or 4 years before she met me, so she's been in business since like 2005. Dina's a millionaire. She's got a 7,000 square foot house, and this is what's funny. Dina has a house here, and she has another house that she goes to in the country. Just 2 houses, and her mother lives with her. And she got this cozy little cat. But Dina is a fine prospector, you know, and like she on Facebook, she's a fighter, right? She's a fighter. And I've noticed something when I entered into that swim, and I met my friend John, he was there, and one of his friends, her name was Candace, introduced me to Candace, and we sit there and we had this intellectual conversation about nurture, and I was talking about how often you see star athletes with both their parents up in the stand, and John, he gave me a different perspective, you know, talking about nurture. And he said percentages, because John is a consultant. And he said, you know, 5%, you know, if you're born to a saint. If you are coming from a 2-parent household, right? And he went ahead and did his background. It was really interesting. His story is very interesting because I did not know John was adopted, but he was adopted by a solid, stable black couple who are still married to this day. He was adopted. His brother and his sister was adopted, right? Then this is what's funny. John took on all of the inherited traits of his mother, who was a consultant. John's a consultant. She was very smart. John was valedictorian of his high school. She went to a Ivy League school. John went to Brown. So even though John, and the discussion ended like this, because John was in a stable household environment, it allowed the inherited talents from his mother to flourish. John's the one that made $5 million in 2025. He made $5 million on his job. And then, I met this wonderful woman. Her name was Candace. And Candace would put you in the mind of someone you would see on the Cosby Show. She had that look, she had that style, she had that flair. Candace and I had a really good conversation about culture, and then she talked about how things were dying out. And then John said something really important, that institutions that were very prevalent were dying out because it was institutions that allowed Atlanta to flourish. Because John, who used to own Vino Libro, he started it after Atlanta had the Olympics, and that Olympic influence was running through Atlanta. And then in Vino Libro, you would see a bunch of fine, upstanding, prosperous black folks. There was this dentist, her name was Zelda. There was, I got a lot of pussy up in Vino Libra. I got a lot of high grade pussy. There was doctors, there were attorneys, there was all kind of highly professional people that were all over Vino Libra. And it was a different crowd. It was a different ink, and they had a lot of different things. So when I ask you this question, what type of black folks are you, black person are you a member of the nigger Confederacy? And I'm going to explain to you why that could be a real bad thing. Are you part of the fine black folks protocols? Because the fine black folks, like John, and John's daughter was there, who's like 22, 23. She works on Wall Street and she makes $250,000 a year living in New York. And it's because of that circle that she grew up in. She grew up in a circle of fine, upstanding black folks. And instantly enough, her mother is Haitian, like my boo. And, it was really interesting. And and Dina's parties always run long. I'd be at Dina's house 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because the parties were, and the party ended with sing-alongs and stuff. Just a fun, festive, feel interesting party. Now let's talk about the nigger Confederacy. All right, Dina, she's rich. John, he's rich. Many of the people at the party were, if they weren't rich, they were extremely well off. This was a constant theme. Cars outside, Porsches, BMWs, G-Wagons, all up and down the street in a very nice neighborhood, right? Now, let's talk about the nigger Confederacy. The nigger Confederacy, if you're a member of the nigger Confederacy, you don't have $2,000 in the bank. You may not even have $500 in the bank. If you're a member of the nigger Confederacy and you have children, chances are you were never married. If you're a member of the nigger Confederacy, your financial literacy is zilch. It's not low, it doesn't exist. How do I know? Fake ass Anton Daniels has people gassed up. I had someone come to my YouTube channel and tell me how Anton Daniels' business training helped him in his storage auction business, right? I wrote a book about storage auctions. That's how fucking stupid niggas are. This motherfucker comes to my page talking about how Anton Daniels helped me when actually I wrote a book. A book that literally when I wrote it, I sold it mostly to white folks. But I wrote a book about storage auctions, and this clown is telling me how much Anton Daniels stuff has helped him when I am the storage auction book daddy. But niggas are stupid. See, niggas don't go to a conversation to enlighten themselves, to learn something new. They go to a conversation that will reinforce negative thoughts they already have. They don't go to a party to learn. They go to a party to reinforce and to drill down on their negative thoughts. And the reason that a lot of the people in the nigger Confederacy hated me and came for me wasn't because I got some young pussy. It was because I was not moderately successful. I was insanely successful compared to them. I mean, the Porsche 911 Turbo, I could tell when I'm driving down the road if I was talking to a fine, upstanding black person or I was talking to a nigger. Niggas, how much that, man? How much that cost you, man? I mean, I've never had a car that got me so much attention, good and bad. People like taking, pictures, valets, like, one dude was like dancing. I get to drive a Porsche. I never drove a Porsche before. I said, be careful. But the nigger Confederacy is all about idiocy. And I think O'Shea Duke Jackson, who's in medical school, he knows this. He knew when he made this video because it was constructed for niggas. It wasn't constructed for enlightenment. It wasn't constructed for education. It wasn't constructed for, it was constructed to pull the niggas out of the nigger pool and let them run around the room. And what niggas like to do is they go back and they pull up this old video, the video of me where I'm making my statement about R. Kelly and stuff, and they keep pulling it up. He's a groomer. But once again, not one woman has come to YouTube and made a video about saying I molested her. Not one. But niggas don't care. Niggas don't care. Niggas like, he's a bad person. And this whole notion. When I was in high school, it was common for girls in high school to be dating dudes in college. I had a friend, her name was Etwa. And Etwa was about 16 and her boyfriend was 22 and her parents knew about it. He was going to Alabama A&M and her parents knew about it. They liked him and they approved this 22-year-old dude dating their 16-year-old daughter. It was common. It was normal. But for some reason, here in 2021, it seems like if you're more than 2 years older than the girl, you're a sexual predator. Joe Budden on his show, he called the woman that got pregnant by the basketball star, because she's like 21, the basketball star, and she's like 40 something. And he actually called her a sexual predator. All right. Google this woman and you will see she's drop dead gorgeous. She's not a sexual predator. She's a fine ass black woman. And this young boy saw her and his dick went boing. And he got in there and he made her pregnant. Not because she's a sexual predator, because she was attractive. But once again, Joe Budden's dumb ass, she's a sexual predator. And Erica Williams, her stupid ass, well, they got sexual trafficking in Atlanta, trying to aim it and veer the conversation that I'm doing this stuff. Now, this is one of the things that is funny. And I'll say this because, once again, there are some people in my community who are like, you should have kept that to yourself. And most of these folks were not jealous. They were just upset. And I told this person, if you leave another comment like that on this channel, you'll never leave another comment on this channel. That person has not spoken up about that since. Here's the thing. I was into BDSM. I was a dom. I enjoyed myself. I had sex with a lot of women. I had a lot of fun. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not ashamed of that at all. But here's the thing. You have a lot of sexual repression in the black community. A ton of it. And this is one of the things that me touching on it, let me go ahead and explain to you the mother and her two daughters. Roll the Craigslist ad, the mother contacts me and she said, I want you to institute my two daughters in the lifestyle. And she said, we had a discussion. I was like, really? So I go over to their house. She answers the door, blonde, blue, cute as shit. I was like, this is the mother? Then she calls her daughters down. They come downstairs, and they look just like her. It's like she just spit them out. Boom, here's a duplicate, here's a duplicate. And the daughters were shorter than she was, but that was the only difference. They looked just like her. I was like, okay. And I was like, what do you want to happen? She's like, I love BDSM, and I feel as a parent, it's my job to institute my daughters into it, because if they're like me, they're going to love it too. And we had a long conversation. She cooked me dinner. This woman could cook. She could cook. And then we started the protocols and stuff. And the youngest daughter was a virgin. Yes, I put my big black dick in her young virgin ass. And I loved every minute of it because it was tight and juicy. And a lot of you sexually repressed men, stop talking about it, man. I'm sorry. The fact that I could do shit you can do. I'm sorry that my big black dick got more pussy in a month than you've got in your whole fucking life. I'm not ashamed of what I did. And that's one of the reasons I fought back and said the things I said. But for some reason, I'm gonna share another story with you. And this was with a married woman. This married woman, she was a white woman. She was an attorney. Dark brunette, piercing green eyes. She had that serious look. And she answered my ad. And she was married. And, I was like, okay, you're married. Why are you answering my ad? She says, I begged my husband. She said, literally begged my husband for the last 5 years to spank me, to do this, and he won't do it. I said, really? She said, not. First time she comes to my house, right? First time she comes to my house, I had my policy. You get naked at the door, then you go in the living room, you get on your knees, right? She's on her knees. She's shaking. She's trembling. And I was like, we're going to see if you really want what you say you want. So I was like, hold your head up. Slapped her across her fucking face, hard as I could. And she's, and she turned red, and her nipples went poing, and she got horny. And literally, this woman started dripping on my floor. She was that excited. Now, I'm about to say something to some of the black folks in the community. Most of the black folks in the community, they know what it is. But some of you in the community, you motherfuckers are weak as shit. You're like her husband. This woman begged her fucking husband to do these things to her, and he wouldn't do it, so she stepped out. Now, this is where the story gets really interesting. He found out that she was fucking me because he got in her phone, he got my address, and he knocks on my door, answer it, and he's like, you the dude that's fucking my wife? And I was like, which one? I'm fucking a few married women. True story. At the time, I was. And he's like, he holds up his phone. This is her. I said, oh, yeah, she's my favorite. And he got he was like moving. Like, I thought he was going to swing on me. Honestly, I was like prepared to fight. Then I was like, bring your silly ass in. Let's have a conversation. And he's like, what? I said, come on in. Let's have a conversation. And I told him, I said, your wife has been begging you for 5 years to do this shit to her, and you won't. Why won't you do it? He's like, I was brought up, you don't hit women. You don't do that. That's just bad. You're a very good, was talking about, you're a bad man, right? So I had a conversation with him. I said, look, do you still love your wife? He said, yes, even though she's fucking you. I said, you want your wife back? And he said, yeah. He got really confused because he had calmed down. And she was an attorney, he was an attorney. And I said, look, if you want your wife, this is what you need to do. Go home, tell her to get on her knees and slap the shit out of her, hard as you can. He said, that would hurt her. I was like, but she likes pain. She's a sadist. She's a masochist. She likes pain. And he's like, what? I was like, go home and do it. And then pull out your dick and make her suck your dick in the kitchen. And he's like, that's fucking crazy. You're some kind of fucking psychopath. And I was like, okay. And I showed him the ad that his wife answered, and I showed her all the emails, and he could not believe she was acting like that. And I had pictures. And he went home, and he thought about it, and he's an attorney, so he looked at the risk management profile of it, and he went home, and he slapped the shit out of her, and he made her suck her dick. The next fucking morning, this motherfucker contacts me. He says, last night we had the best fucking sex ever. Now he's into it. And then I go ahead and have a conversation with her. So your husband got in your phone. He came by here, and I talked to him. And she said, yeah, it's like he's doing everything I want him to do now. It's fucking great. And I shook her hand. I said, well, I guess you're going to go home to your daddy. She said, I guess so. Thank you. And that's how that ended. But once again, for you weak-ass motherfuckers who are like, well, you should have kept it to you. Fuck you. Fuck you and your monkey-ass ways and your little weak ass. You understand? This shit's been going on since the beginning of fucking time. And you know who's been doing it? Kings, warriors, the fucking conquerors. You think when these Japanese soldiers went to these little villages and was like, oh, there's these little girls, these little women, we're gonna leave them. No, they fucked those bitches. They fucked the shit out of those bitches. It was fucking war. And that's why your weak ass can't win. So stop with those comments. Because you're moving very close to the nigga side. No intellect, no research, no thought processing. And someone went on O'Shea YouTube channel like, it's real interesting, O'Shea. How come you're not asking the question about the lead attorney and Anton Daniels taking the videos down? If the videos were safe, why did they take them down? Niggas don't want that type of introspective conversation. No. We want to convict him. We want him in jail. We want to yell. We want to be screaming. We want to be angry, right? So I'm asking you, what kind of black person are you? Because if you're probably the fine, progressive black folks, you're good to go from an economic standpoint. But if you're part of the nigger confederacy, it ain't gonna go good for you. It's just not. You know why I'm still alive after having a heart attack? Because I never was a member of the nigger confederacy. I've always been a nerd. I read books. I spend 3 to 6 hours a day on ChatGPT. I recently wrote a book. I am so far away from the nigger confederacy. And Anton Daniels was on the show, and the girl was like, these niggas, this nigga. And he didn't say a word. He likes being king of the niggas. He loves that shit because it pays him a lot of money being the king of the niggas. But here's the thing. History is always going to be the gauge. And with history being the gauge, would you rather be the king of the niggas or you rather be a motherfucker like me? Because I was that motherfucker. I'm not ashamed for all the pussy I got. I'm not ashamed for fucking young girls. I'm not ashamed at all. Now, once again, they were young girls who looked like women. One of the things I wanted to do on the lead attorney was talk about I could have been a sexual predator if I wanted to, because I had a ton of high school girls answering my ads. And you know why I wasn't interested? They look like boys. They look like boys with no hair, no titties, nothing. I wasn't turned on by that. But the ones that came with the ass and the titties, indeed I was turned on by that. So the majority of those girls I did not mess with because I wasn't attracted to them. But once again, Anton Daniels, he's a sexual predator. Once again, the king of the niggas. The king of the niggas. And this is something else that's funny. A lot of people want to compare Anton Daniels' training to mine. Let me say this. If Anton Daniels was and I were in a ring and the contest was my business acumen against his, that motherfucker would get knocked the fuck out in 30 seconds. It wouldn't even be a full round. This motherfucker can't even compare to the business knowledge I have. But once again, the nigger confederacy. We don't know. We're not financially literate. We can't tell when he's lying. Case in point, he did the video, and Jasmine DeLucci, the CPA attorney, she chopped it up. He was like, if I made $1 million, I would keep 70, and he talks in this big circle. How, Sway, would you move to the $970,000? But here's the thing. If this person was truly business savvy, he would know about holding companies, and taxes wouldn't be an issue. Taxes wouldn't be a fucking issue if he knew about that shit. But he doesn't, because he's not a real business person. He's a YouTube personality that talks business and shit. I'm a business person that does YouTube. The difference is infinitely different. But once again, I ask you this question. What type of black person are you? Are you a fine, progressive black person? Or are you part of the nigger confederacy? Because I'm telling you, the nigger confederacy, shit ain't that good, man. It just ain't that good. So, once again, share this video. Let your people know. And I will see you guys in the next one. More videos are going to come on this channel because my main channel got hacked and they throttled the reach. And it's going to be like that for maybe 3 days up to 2 weeks. And I'm just going to load one video a day on that channel and just let it ride out. But that's all I got. Let me know your thoughts and stuff, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.